What's going on, y'all? We're back, and of course, we're gonna get into some football stuff. Of course, working those daily uploads Monday through Friday, and trying to work some stuff for Saturday, and see what we can get beyond that. But for right now, we'll just jump right into things. Of course, over the weekend, we all found out about the firing of now former Chicago Bears head coach and Matt Eberflus, and this one's really fascinating to me for a couple of different reasons. They actually confirmed today that they'll be sticking with general manager Ryan Poles, and of course now Thomas Brown will be taking on the head coaching duties as interim head coach for the remainder of the season. It's just been really wild to see, and I gotta say it's rather understandable that this happened. You think back to Thanksgiving Day where Bears were actually driving in the final seconds of the game, and of course, for whatever reason, nobody was calling timeout, and of course you saw the camera on Eberflus, and he just stood there looking shell-shocked, which, of course, I have a bit of familiarity with that when it comes to guy the likes of Nathaniel Hackett, but it's actually a lot of the same things that are going on here. You just can't have these things, and what makes this even more troubling for Bears fans is the fact that now you're going to be looking to have possibly 3 different head coaches, even though Thomas Brown will be in the running, depending on how the Bears finish the season. But it's going to be kind of wild for him going from what he had with Lincoln Riley over at USC, excuse me, and now this situation that has taken place. It's just really wild that it went this far, and it's one thing that the Bears started off as well as they did early in the season, but for them to have regressed as much as they have, it's really inexcusable, and sooner or later, it was just a matter of time. You got to get a new voice in there, because what's going on with Eberflus just wasn't working, and it was proven back on Thanksgiving, and now we'll see where everything goes from here for the Bears. But with that, we'll be moving along, and we're actually going to talk about a really wild situation, especially if you're a 49ers fan, with the backfield specifically. Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason are both out for the remainder of the season. It's one thing to get throttled 35-0 in the snow the way that they did last night against the Buffalo Bills out in Orchard Park, but man, I gotta say, this just hasn't really gone too many of the ways that you want it to if you're a 49ers fan again. If this hasn't been enough, you had the situation with McCaffrey where he had been out earlier in the season, and of course now you're dealing with Brock Purdy having been in and out of the lineup. He's back in now, but now you don't have the 2 top runners in your backfield. I mean, this is going to significantly hinder the 49ers. They've got other guys that have stepped up, but losing these 2 is going to be huge, and they have still an opportunity to be spoilers in the NFC West, as that division is as jumbled up as any. I mean, looking at the Cardinals and the Seahawks fighting for the top of it, Seattle taking it yesterday after having beat the Jets, and the Cardinals losing to the Vikings. I mean, we're bound for a really wild finish with that division, and this doesn't really help things. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see where we go from here with the stretch run, not only with this division, but the rest of the NFC, as it's literally Detroit and Philadelphia, respectively, at the top of the conference, and it just seems like nobody else seems to be close. You want to think maybe Minnesota after pulling off the win that they did yesterday, but that can be tricky because, you know, they've been on hot streaks like this before. They actually won 5 in a row before losing 2 in a row, and now they're on another 5-game winning streak. We'll see if they're due for another losing streak or whatever the case may be, but yeah, definitely bad news for the folks in the Bay Area. I mean, it just can't get any worse than this, but from here we'll just jump from that into yet another turbulent situation, if you will. Quarterback situation between with the Atlanta Falcons with Michael Penix Jr. and of course the incumbent starter Kirk Cousins, who didn't really have as good a day as you'd like for him to have, especially with the Chargers defense looking as good as they have actually throughout the season. I mean, I feel like they looked impressive, and Derwin James, you know, making some really, really big plays is incredibly significant. But now you've got folks that are actually calling for this change out in Atlanta, and I don't know if that's really necessary just yet. Similar again to the NFC West, the NFC South is a bit jumbled up, as you right now have the Saints, the Buccaneers, and the Falcons all in the running as it stands, and really I don't think there's going to be any definitive winner out of this situation either. Again, the closest I think that we get to either Detroit or Philadelphia would have to be the Vikings, maybe to some degree the Commanders, but they're really and truly not ready because they're a bit of a young team, and I don't know that Jaden is necessarily on the level that we all believed him to be. I think he's going to be great in the long run. I'm pretty sure I've said that in previous videos. But, you know, this is another situation where you got another quarterback in this rookie class is actually in a situation where he's being brought up. I could see maybe in a closing weeks where if Atlanta really gets to tailing off and Kirk Cousins just isn't getting it done anymore, we get to seeing what it looks like for the future with Penix in maybe the last game or two. But all in all, I think Cousins is going to wind up being a starter. I don't think we should be surprised if he's a starter next season, but we'll have to see how far that goes, because maybe Penix shows a lot of what people believe he will be. And you know, I'm not going to lie, I actually, out of the corner of my eye, I'm seeing Bo Nix warming up for my Broncos right now. Again, aforementioned rookie class that we've got going with the quarterbacks right now. But it's just funny because to me, it was either him or Michael Penix Jr. And the Falcons swooped in like the Falcons that they are and actually snatched them up before we had a chance, and we wound up going with Bo Nix, and it's definitely worked out well for us. Who's to say that it won't work out well for the Falcons in the long run? So I guess we'll see, but I think it's a little too early for the change right now, but only time will tell. But let me know what y'all think, how this goes in the long run. Y'all know what it is. Like, share, subscribe, talk to me down in the comments. And with that in mind, I am A&J. Thank you for being here, and there will be more.